Hey there, Dave here along with Chris and Jordan. It is election night in America. We are Dumb Money. So good to see you all with us tonight. Help the YouTube algorithm know that we're on right now. Before we do anything, smash the like button. We just need your help. Show your support for the country by hitting the thumbs up button. Chris, Jordan. Oh, I see Jordan has already busted out the wine.
Happy Election Day.
We've been glued to the news all day long. We've been watching the pundits. Basically, nobody has anything to say until the polls actually start to close. East Coast, I thought they start to close in about an hour, but you're saying that they've actually closed in Maine?
No, somebody's closed by now. I'm sure.
They're closed in Florida, dude. They're closed.
Oh,
Can you see me? Am I like all digital and crap? Like, can you see me?
I see.
Technically, we're all digital. It's a digital
I am
world.
digital.
Sorry, I'm a mess today, guys. You know, my family decided to go to the zoo today, so I was at the zoo all this morning with my earpiece in, switching channels between, Fox, CNBC, CNN. Dude,
You're at the zoo.
Can't.
Chris Camillo.
I'm getting after-hour trades in on this data that we just got in. Maybe 40 minutes ago we got this data in. We've been looking at it.
What'd you buy?
Woo!
This is the.
I'm just going in a little deeper.
The Nate Silver
on Biden
data, right? So you're basically. You saw that Nate is tweeting out. He's the founder of 538, the website polling. He's like the guy who predicts elections better than most, even though he didn't get it right last time around.
It's not Nate though. He retweeted it. The guy I'm following. It's fascinating. Jordan, could you talk about this data here, like what this means, what this is? Did you have?
So basically, yeah. So what he's done, basically, what came out is that like portions of like Democrats and then Republicans and Independents have voted, and then they took those numbers, broke them down by the proportions that the polls were calling. Right, and then applied that to figure out that he thinks that basically Biden has an edge.
Yeah,
right?
so essentially,
he's plugging these actuals into Excel and then using the polling ratios.
Okay, but basically, what it comes down to is that according to this methodology, that could be off,
right?
But according to the methodology, Trump would need. Not Trump, just Republicans in general. The Republican turnout, right? Because we don't have even exit poll data, which is kind of worthless anyway this election. But the turnout for Republican voters in Florida, okay? We're talking about Florida because we know that Florida is so key here. Probably more key for Trump to win, obviously, than Biden to win. But the Republican turnout, according to the methodology, would need to be somewhere between have a 3 to 3.5% edge over Democratic turnout, and that is based on an assumption that Biden will have a 55 to 45 edge with independents. Okay, so if Biden has a 55 to 45 edge with independents, if that assumption is correct, and you would then need the Republican turnout in Florida to show about what they call an R3, right? An R plus 3 or an R plus 3.2 or 3.5. I mean, we're getting down to a very granular level here. Right now, I think as of the 5:30 numbers, okay, the 5:30 numbers, which is 30 minutes before the close of Florida, the number was 1.9. I think, Jordan. I think that's what I just saw on the 5:30 numbers. So
right. So basically, what he's saying, yeah, basically what he's saying, and just to break down a little bit more, just to show what's going on, is he's saying that 90% of Republicans, based on this poll, are expected to vote for Trump, right? 3% of Democrats and 34% of independents. Now, for Biden, he expects 7% of Republicans to vote for Biden, 91% of Democrats, and 50% of independents, right? And so that's why getting that Republican turnout as high as possible in Florida was crucial, because that's obviously the and the independents swing kind of heavily Biden here.
Yes. So guys, this is really important. Is it foolproof? No, it's not foolproof. It's based on assumptions that might or might not be correct, but and we all know this is going to be an ultra close call in Florida, but this is the first credible hard data. This is the first credible hard data that we have, and the interpretation of it that would lead you to believe it certainly indicates I'm just going to say it indicates a Biden win in Florida if the assumptions are correct.
Well,
okay?
so the lead is 450,000 votes, which out of 10.7 million gets you pretty close. It's right around 4% of the vote, right? And so that's a pretty big lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it looks like as of 8 minutes ago, he's saying that the 4 to 6 p.m. number, the partisan split in Broward County was Democratic 43, Republican 22, Independent 35, which is a D plus 21, a very big blue shift over the course of the day. That is what Nate tweeted 8 minutes ago. He's saying, nothing I've seen or heard about the exit polls give me confidence that they figured out how to balance the different types of votes that are coming in. Lots of weird, somewhat incongruous results based on what's been reported I would ignore. So ignore the exit polls, but these voter turnout numbers that we're talking about, based on registration to turnout, that's data. That's hard data that we can look at right now.
Yeah, it is hard data. I want to talk quickly about what I did in the market, okay? Because I haven't made any monster moves in the market based on absolute high conviction, which is what I wanted to be in a position to do today. That didn't happen. But it's
been a calm day, right? I thought that we were going to have some more chaos than we've had.
It's been a calm day, Jordan, but the one thing that we saw today, and it didn't, here's what's so interesting. You really have to be ingesting multiple news sources in 2020. I hate it that's the case, but do you remember the day back in, we're kind of old-ish, right? Like 20 plus years ago when you could just turn on any network news channel, ABC, CBS, NBC, and on election night, you're essentially getting just raw, coverage of what's happening. Like no one's trying to slant it one way or the other. They just want to call it as accurately as they can, as quickly as they can. Like there were no real big games being played. That is no longer the case. So I'm listening to both Fox and CNN primarily, and I mix a little CNBC, which it doesn't happen often, but I mix a little CNBC because I want to try to figure out, I know that Fox is going to be slow to report anything that would be kind of pro-Biden in terms of data and numbers, and CNN is going to be slow, right, to kind of come to terms with anything that will be positive Trump. So you got to go back and forth. I was going back and forth all day, but what I did notice was that the surge this morning, the surge in Florida particularly, was reported to had slowed down by early afternoon. Okay, so I was getting, and this wasn't widely reported. It's I caught one comment on it. It was one person commenting on it, and I was able to get kind of some follow-up data on it, but it wasn't being widely covered. And it was, by that time, the news was so built into the storyline from this morning of the surge, which is certainly a positive for Trump, okay? The surge was a positive for Trump in Florida. Because if you had this massive election day turnout, massive, especially in all the rural counties in Florida, that was going to be positive. So it wasn't enough, to me, that was a tiny bit of social opportunity there, just a tiny bit to say, hey, I think this data is out there, but not really being covered and listened to and ingested by the investment community. So I did, Jordan, I started to lean into my Biden trades towards the end of the day. I just purchased some I bought some call options on TAN. I threw some call options on Tesla, and I also bought some. I think I bought options on one other thing. But I then, since we got this data, you there? I can't hear you, Jordan. You there?
Sorry, it looks like it's taking effect. I was just muted. You didn't buy any more gun stocks?
So, good question. I was going to, and then I looked at how much I owned of the gun stocks, and I kind of freaked out because I own so much Vista. I was like, I can't buy more of this. This is insane. I own like $2.5 million of Vista. So it's just a lot of a stock that will get cut in half. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to lose more than $1 million tomorrow on one stock if I'm wrong. So what I did buy though, I just added some EV stocks, some Workhorse, some Plug, some Helion. I also threw in some Caterpillar there. One of the companies that would be benefited obviously from a pro-China Biden win. So nothing crazy, but I did all that like 40 minutes ago when we got this data because I could do that after hours, right? And that's it. And I took all my hedge off the market. So like I don't have any more short position on the market. Like I even took out my booking.com short. So I do have like a couple little things like my restaurant stocks and my, Dave & Buster's and a little bit of short there, SeaWorld, but nothing much. So that was my trade at least. Because I know people are going to want to know how are we trading it. We're not trading it like a high conviction trade. I'm not. But it's data, right? Like I got to lean into the data. And the data
my thing is I didn't, nothing really happened during the day. I'm not a big after hours trader, so I haven't, I actually didn't make any moves today because I didn't really see anything that was blowing my mind today.
Yeah, I'm with you, George. I didn't either. There's nothing that blew my mind. It was like really grasping for something, right?
Right.
Like that one thing I traded was like, okay, I'm gonna I feel like I have to do what I said I was gonna do, which is kind of lean in one way or lean off. And that's what I did, but it wasn't crazy. I didn't do anything like crazy levered. Whew, man. So what do you think though, dude? I mean, that's it. I mean, listen, we told you guys we would come up and go live when we saw some data that was worth talking about. And the entire day, we're like, we don't have it yet. We really don't have anything.
Yeah, there's been really nothing. I mean, we've had it on all day.
Yeah.
And it's been, there's really been no, I thought there would be, some crazy people outside of polling stations and all the stuff for election sites, and that's not happened. Thank goodness.
The local
Maybe
news
I'll
does
get a little more
have someone
Bitcoin
outside
here.
of a polling station that looks kind of like it might be the one in our neighborhood.
Oh,
with
no.
a weird sign saying it's a COVID risk to go inside, and
Your
then
neighborhood is
Trump
crazy.
signs, and then
Wait, what is this, Dave?
on the local NBC affiliate right now, they have someone standing out front in front of it live, and there was a guy with a cardboard box that said COVID risk, and she's still reporting from out there, and there's a bunch of Trump signs behind her. I grabbed a screenshot of it if I can pull this up.
Hey,
There's no way you're going to be able to see this. I don't have a good way to put this on the air.
Can you just can you just put your phone in front of the camera?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
let it focus. So what? That's crazy, dude. Hey, by the way, Dave, I have to do a call out for Leon. Leon texted me this morning. I have not vetted this, but I wanted to put it out there because I love Leon, and if he says it's worth listening to, it probably is. I guess someone in the community is doing a Zoom on Thursday on a subject that I never talk about. I know you do some of it, Dave. It's a Zoom on presenting about how to sell options. So not buying options for leverage, but like actually selling options. He's doing a Zoom, and it's zoom.us/my/profit. So /my/profit. It's at 7 p.m. Central, so 8 p.m. Eastern this Thursday. So if any of y'all want to listen to that, I know a lot of people always ask me, like, how about writing options? Dave, are you going to cover writing options in your video that you're putting out this week? Or?
Not the one this week. This week's about leverage and particularly using margin. But writing options is something that I do, and I talked about it a little in my options video. But
okay, so Dave has that on his video. But this guy's going to do a Zoom. So Leon said he this guy, that's all he does, a ton of this. All he does. His name's Mitt of Profit Maker. So anyway, guys, you want to do that? I want to give a call out. Man, so that's it. I think I'm done trading. I think, unless we don't have much time left. We have an hour and 45 minutes of after hours.
So did you not get that futures account?
The overlap.
I did not open up a futures account.
Polling and the stock market after hours stopping, there's just not very much overlap. But the market was, I mean, my account was up big for the first time in a long time. I was excited to see that. I don't think it had anything to do with any specific election trade. I think it was more just a bounce back of the market being down for a week.
Listen, a lot of the Biden trades were doing well today. What people don't realize is like TAN was down, but that was because there was a massive earnings miss last night on like their largest solar holding. So they got crushed. That stock got crushed like 10% yesterday. And that I love that you got the wine going, Jordan. It's amazing. So
That's what I should do every time.
If we go back on the air, you can rest assured that I will have some with me.
Dave, I thought you said you were with me. I thought we were drinking buddies tonight.
Well, no, I didn't realize that. I was waiting until prime time. We're on early right now.
This is prime time. It's 5:21.
Jordan, we have some good news. We got 7.0 of our cookies. For those of y'all that were just watching for the first time, we have a cookie company. It's a healthy cookie company. We got version 7.0. Dave just tried them. I liked them. Dave liked them. I got a box for you, Jordan. So
it's so much better.
Yeah, we're excited about that. So have some wine and cookies tomorrow. You got to pick up your cookies.
Oh wait, hold on. Did I miss something?
This is the
something's coming in here. Okay. No.
This is just the consensus map from the.
Oh my gosh! Hold on, I got to stop something. Stop down the show. Gray Train just asked if my wine was black box. It is. If you actually pick, it is black box. I've got it in the laundry room. We're gonna open up something nicer tonight. Don't worry. But yeah, I didn't want to waste a good wine for a show.
So you're drinking black box from a box in your laundry room.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You are. That is so. You have not changed since your Texas A&M days, dude, or shortly after that when I met you, dude. You're the same exact person.
No, here's the deal. I've got a friend who's Italian. His parents, I think one of his parents might be from Italy. They have got like a really good wine collection. But if it's just like a Tuesday or Wednesday night or something like that, they have a whole shelf devoted to just black box. It's their daily drinker. You can just pour a little bit. You don't have to worry about filling a whole bottle. What else do you want?
Oh my God!
Right, if you're gonna have the guests over, if you're gonna have a nice steak, then maybe you get something nicer. But get the black box going.
Oh my God! I'm not fancy. My phone is literally broken. I've been using it so much today. Okay, so guys, that's it. That's our data. Like, that's the data. It's the first piece of data we got today that was worth trading for the most part. I traded a little bit earlier. That's it. The trade is on.
And what does it mean?
Now I'm getting text from my... What?
I feel like we have such delay between us today. What does it mean for the election if Florida goes to Biden?
I think because you know what it means.
That is one that, that's a state with 29 electoral votes, and that is Florida. Every year, that's the one that's, that we were thinking Pennsylvania is going to be the thing that changes the tide. But if Florida goes, most of the maps that I saw had Florida red. And if you switch Florida from red to blue, what does that do
It is theoretically possible for Trump to win while losing Florida, but extremely tough. I think the consensus is, if Biden wins Florida, it's pretty much game over.
Florida was marked as kind of a toss-up state, right? And
yeah, I think the assumption was Florida
Biden at 279.
Yeah, Florida was just an assumption that it was going to be a toss-up state, but if Trump was going to win this election, he'd be winning Florida, right? I mean, that was general assumption. Can Trump pick up Pennsylvania if he loses Florida and then win? Absolutely, right? They could switch. I don't think generally when you see the vote coming in, though, in this type of an election, it's not just one state, right? So that will carry over. So if it looks like Biden's going to win Florida and actually win it by more than 1 point, it'd be really hard to imagine a scenario where he loses Pennsylvania other than if that oil remark or something very specific to Pennsylvania really impacts his the voting there, which is again theoretically possible. But if you told me right now that that Biden has Florida, you said, Chris, Biden has Florida, I will empty out my account on Biden trades. I will empty it out. I will margin it to the absolute max tonight after our trades on whatever I can get my hands on. I don't care if it's Bitcoin. Okay, I will literally go into the bit. By the way,
well, the problem, I mean,
Bitcoin,
you're running out of time, right? I mean, you can say that, but you've got an hour and a half.
I should have, looking back on this, I really should have loaded up my what's that? I'm the worst crypto guy. What's the place where you buy Bitcoin if you don't want to buy it through a fund like me? It's Coinbase. Coinbase. I should have loaded up my Coinbase account just so I could trade Bitcoin tonight, because Bitcoin is the one off-market trade that you don't need a futures account. That is an obvious Biden trade, right? I mean, that would have been a great way to do this. Now I kind of feel stupid for not doing that. I could have put 3-4 million into Coinbase and just had a Bitcoin trade tonight if I see the numbers floating around. That didn't happen. I don't think I can get money in there quick enough. I can't wire money in, right? I mean, what you really can't. They won't let you trade, right? Unless you can get money in there. So I'm basically done to the morning. But we have another hour and a half of aftermarket trading.
So as of 25 minutes ago, the polls closed in both Indiana and Kentucky. And it looks like, let's see if New York Times might have some data in from them.
Kentucky's at 67.5%. Trump is leading Kentucky pretty good.
So these are meaningless numbers, though, because it's 1-2%, and then also
it's 1%
we don't know what the benchmark is.
Reporting, yeah.
My biggest pet peeve on election reporting, and I have quite a few of them today, but my largest one is don't show me a number unless you show me a baseline or a benchmark. Show me anytime you show a number, you better darn show me the.
So, here's the deal. And this tweet that you sent earlier, and we should probably share this thing. Can one of you guys retweet it? But it has this Excel spreadsheet, and it shows, okay, we've got these numbers that came in that are real, and we're going to use those and plug them into formulas that we got from polls, right? So they make sense in context. I feel like at 1% reporting, for some of these precincts, what they should do is take them into whatever they thought was going to be, whatever the predictions are for states and counties or whatever. How is that actually impacting, or is it, right? Is that 1% changing things? I don't think it is yet, because they're in some of the smaller counties. The biggest problem is some of the most populous counties obviously take the longest to count, and so they're going to get figured out later at night, right? Like Miami-Dade's figured out until 9, 10, 11 o'clock.
So Jordan, you're saying to benchmark the small counties that we do have data on versus 2016, just so we can get an idea directionally where we're moving, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So basically you estimate the entire country, estimate all the counties underneath, and as you get precincts coming in, you just update those values, right? And so you can update one precinct, and then you can show what that changes, and it's at this point it's probably nothing, right? Until you get to a certain percentage, or you get some bigger county that comes in. Or in Nebraska, things are totally different, right? Because they actually split delegates.
You're just talking about having just a straightforward extrapolation weighted projection, essentially, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why would they not have that? It's actually insane. Someone has to have that, guys. If you're watching and someone has that, let us know, because people think you have to have all the votes. Yeah, I mean, you have to have everything in and counted to know exactly where we are. But there is a tremendous amount of projection you can do if you at least know directionally where you're headed relative to 2016 in certain areas, right? Like there's certain areas of Pennsylvania, Ohio. If I know right now if these places report and they are 2% up in the red, right, from 2016, that's a huge positive for Trump. You're right, if 3% up, 4% up, if they're 1% down, that's a negative, right? So I want to know that, but I'm not getting that from the coverage. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do, guys. I think we need to head out of here for a minute because I'm having a really hard time. I can't watch 3 screens and analyze and trade while on YouTube. And again, I'm going to remind everyone, by the way, y'all, we're not financial analysts. We're not financial advisors. Don't do what we're doing. When we tell you what we're trading, it's not for you to trade it. We want you to understand how we're interpreting data, right? We're social arb traders. We don't understand what your risk tolerance is. Even if we did, we don't know what your objectives are. Even if we did that, we're still not financial advisors. So don't do what we do. Just learn from the methodology. Learn from the thinking, all right? Run your scenarios tonight.
Exactly.
At this point,
I saw
pretty
some
much
people
what's
asking
done
what
is
maps
done.
we were looking at. The one that I was looking at where we can change the colors based on various, the polling model or the consensus model. That is a website called 270towin.com. And then the other map that I showed more recently, the one that shows the 1% and 3% reporting, that is from the New York Times. If I can, there it is. So that's the New York Times, and the more colorful one was 270 to win. Just to help you guys find this information on your own, because that's part of the challenge.
So here's something that's really interesting that's not accounted for in the numbers that I was trading earlier, right? And if you go to the panhandle of Florida does not close until 8 p.m. Okay,
that's right. Because they're in a different time zone.
Yes. So the Democrats closed really strong in those districts. Kind of what's been reported, really strong relative to where they needed to be. But the Panhandle has not yet reported. So let's see what happens in the Panhandle. That could still be an outlier for Florida. And again, the numbers that we're discussing on this, on this episode. It's all based on projections of how many Democrats will actually vote Democrat, how many Republicans will actually vote Republican. I think right now the assumption said, Jordan, that 7% of Republicans will actually vote Democrat, and then how many independents will vote Trump or Biden, right? So if those assumptions are correct, Florida needs to have about a +3, okay? They need to have a +3, and they were at a +1.9 half an hour before close or polling. Now, we still have the Panhandle, okay? But in general, that is a significant margin off from where the Republicans need to be in Florida, okay? Based on the projections of how people are going to vote, which could be off, okay? Could be off, but it's what we have. It's what we have.
And we're still
both sets of numbers could be flawed. Like the ratios could be flawed. So the whole thing's, you don't know.
Yeah, but it's the best that we have right this second. It's the best that I've seen this second in terms of if you want to extract data and you want to attempt to make a projection on what will likely be maybe the most important state if it goes to Biden. If it goes to Trump, it's not the most important state. Pennsylvania becomes the most important state, right? Yes. Arizona potentially becomes the second most important state if Trump wins Florida.
Yeah, the problem with Arizona is it's still pretty concentrated on some of the, some of those major metro areas to where, Florida has a lot more, I hate to use the term backwoods, but we're on box line.
So, you use the right term.
There are a lot of woods in Florida, so I think that would be.
A funny stat about Florida? I heard something about Florida that a lot of people, not a lot of people, but there are a certain amount of people that their retirement plan was to buy like a bunch of acreage in Florida, plant pine trees, and then sell the wood for lumber and paper and things like that. So much so that's caused lumber prices to crash.
What? Is this like
over
a
the
new
past
thing?
decade? No, this is like 30 or 40 years ago. This is what people were doing.
It sounds like
that's why there's so much pine in some of these states.
It sounds like a Ponzi scheme to me. You're saying that's a legit thing that people have actually done, and are that's fantastic. That's kind of fantastic.
Yeah,
I never heard of that.
Yeah, you buy the land cheap, and then you plant pine on it, right? And that's what people build houses with.
What I can't figure out is, speaking of lumber, what is going on with the boarding up of cities? What is that? Who's expected to riot, and why are they? I mean, I know they fortified the White House.
Here's the thing:
New York has a bunch of retail boarded up, and I saw Rodeo Drive is like all boarded up.
Dave, there is a 100% chance that if my restaurant were in a highly populous city area, that it would be boarded up right now. 100% chance. And that's because I think the most likely scenario, this is an apolitical show, so this is not taking one side or the other. But
so you're saying if you were off of Henderson, you would board it up?
100%. If I was on Henderson tonight, I would board it up tonight, especially if it looks like Trump. Excuse me, not Trump. If it looks like there's a situation where it's going to be extraordinarily close, and the Republicans and Trump are going to contest hard. I think that is exactly what everyone's concerned about in terms of rioting, and specifically with the precedent that was kind of set last night of, hey, Pennsylvania cannot count votes after midnight on election day, which is, and by the way, people don't understand. I know everyone's hearing this stuff on the news. I find it so frustrating that the news these days is so surface level. I mean, I've heard about this 10,000 times, but no one actually talks about what is actually happening in Pennsylvania that's being challenged. I think it's actually really interesting. There's multiple components to it. So basically, what's being challenged is that, yes, votes cannot be counted after midnight, even if they're put in by midnight. But what Republicans will tell you is they're more focused on the fact that the signatures, right, on the ballots, on the mail-in ballots, should be checked before they're counted. So basically, a human would need to say, hey, that signature matches the voter registration data, and before they can count the vote. The problem with that is
there's millions of these things, right?
Yeah, there's millions of them.
Manpower to do that, and I don't think you do. What they're trying to do is just automate as much as they possibly can, and whenever there's a question, then they put it in front of some impartial people and get them to try to make sense of it.
So listen, I want to be really apolitical. There are technically two sides to this, and you could make a case, hey, if the law says the signatures need to be checked, they need to be checked. However, we're not in a situation where they can be checked. It would literally be a month or more, and it'd be so interpretive that it would get you into this whole thing of, why did you throw out 80% of the signatures that were Democratic votes versus Republican votes, right? In this whole mess. It's really complicated. The one thing I think we could all agree on is there are certain things that are just unacceptable, such as saying, hey, if a vote is in and received by the date, it better darn well be counted towards the election. Like, that's just
the problem is everything.
Right?
So this all comes down to like state laws and jurisdictions and things like that. And there's no national. That's a big problem, right? That these things are run by states, and there's no national standard for how to run a national election, right? I get that the states get to put these things on, but there should be a set of rules about how we conduct ourselves, or there's a skew in how states get to vote.
Yeah, and what happened in Houston really upset me, and we're here in Texas, right? Yeah. It really upset me because, and by the way, look, I think the Republicans are getting a lot of heat for this. The reality is, it wasn't, to my understanding, it wasn't necessarily the organized Republican Party coming out with this lawsuit. It was an independent attorney who was kind of on the right side doing this. So we don't know who he's backed by, but they essentially put so much pressure on these drive-through polls that they shut them down last night in Houston, all but one of them. And the reason why is because in Texas, a poll must have a structure over it to be a valid poll. Okay, so these drive-through polls were tense. So you could kind of somewhat make an argument, I guess, that a tent isn't a structure. And so the judge, when he looked over this whole thing a couple days ago, basically said, hey, I'm going to allow the votes to count because people already voted. I'm not going to take those back. But the judge was very hesitant as to whether or not, if they hadn't already voted, if he would disallow it. So I think the Democratic Party, not Democratic Party, excuse me, the Houston essentially said, hey, we don't want to take a chance of people voting on election day and having those votes taken away from them. So we're just going to close them down. I don't think that was right. I mean, come on, guys.
But they basically did it as a preventative measure, just in case in the future that is challenged, and then those votes that way. We're going to go back and do it the old-fashioned way. We'll just have, I think they left one of them open, but the rest of the drive-thrus
they only left
down.
Dave. They left one of them open because it was like the Astro Center, which is actually a full concrete roof, so they knew they couldn't object to. But come on, I mean, honestly, if you're trying to close down a voting center during a pandemic, when you have elderly people and you have people that are immunocompromised, that is the safest, most amazing way for them to vote. If you're trying to literally shut those down on election day, that is such a vote suppression thing. I think as Americans, Democrat, Republican, Independent, doesn't matter, guys. We should all be able to get together and say, like, come on, let's not do this. Like, I know politics are dirty, but that's just, let's not go there, right? That's something we should all, and I think everybody should stand up and be like, we're not doing that as a country. That really pissed me off, and I think, I don't know, I kind of feel like stuff like that then has an impact that the opposite of what that person wanted to have, probably motivated a lot of people to get out and vote. And here's the worst part. If you're a Republican, you might have lost votes because of that move, and that's not okay, because this person was a Republican activist doing this, but he doesn't represent all Republicans. So now maybe you get more people out voting against the Republican candidate. And so, like, I'm looking at this from an apolitical sense. It's not that the Democrats win because of this or the Republicans win. I mean, it's ridiculous that people are doing this. We should all stand up and say, we're not going to tolerate this regardless of political party, because it could end up hurting. The ironic thing is this could end up hurting Republicans that would never do something like this. It's just one
I mean,
person.
it's bad pub, right? It's definitely bad pub. It's got a bad look. It's a problem, right? I agree. I hate it.
Oh, anyway, that's my rant. That's my election day rant.
I had people asking in the chat if we could repeat the news about Florida, the information that we were reporting on, and it's based on Nate Silver and his reporting from Voter 99 on Twitter,
Yes.
who had some data out of Florida at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time, where basically they're counting total voter turnout by party, and earlier estimates that Nate had made that the GOP plus 3.5% was roughly the break-even point, meaning that Trump was favored if above 3.5%. Otherwise, Biden would be favored based on what most polls were showing an edge for Biden among independents. But that was
and Dave, you need to explain what you mean by that. Like the what you mean is the Republican registered turnout should be at least an extra 3.5% over the Democrat.
3.5% over the Democrat turnout for registered voters to how many people actually turned up to the polls. And so it was earlier.
You got to turn out and turn up.
Turn out for what?
You got to get turned.
You're getting turned. I can't wait to get my wife to the next live hit. So nice. So GOP at plus 1.8% on turnout by party registration so far in Florida. That was as of when we went on the air, however long we've been on for 40 minutes now. And that's expected to get to plus 2% by the end of the night at that pace. But at plus 2%, they're saying that is not enough for Trump to pull off a win in Florida. And our point on Florida is if Florida goes blue, that really messes up the Republicans' opportunity of a win, right?
Almost impossible. It's possible, but almost impossible.
There's other combinations that might make it work, but yeah, the math just isn't there for a Republican win, and so it becomes a Biden presidency. If Florida goes blue, it's going to be really hard, and we're going to be up all night tonight, basically.
Yeah.
But if Florida goes, it actually decreases the drama on the rest of the numbers.
Yes, and like I said, if I knew Florida was blue right now, I would empty my account out, margin. I would be pulling money from my credit cards and sending it in and getting all in on my Biden trades, right? That's how confident I would be of a Biden win. Is it 100%? Absolutely not. But it's pretty close at that point. And you'd have to have some really weird stuff happen in the rest of the country that is totally unexpected.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a really weird race, right? And I feel like, there is going to be some unexpected things happen. There has to be.
There will be. I think you're right, Jordan. I think there absolutely will be some really weird things happening. I don't know what they are
twists
yet.
and turns in this, not only tonight, but for the weeks to come.
Yeah. So
what are we going to do? Are we going to come
watching...
back and talk about this from time to time, or are we going to sign off?
I don't know.
I
think if there's something really meaningful that we think is worthy of coming on air for between now and tomorrow morning, yes. Otherwise, if we see something that's tradable, maybe we'll hop on earlier than normal tomorrow, maybe before market open. So make sure that you have the alert notifications set on this YouTube channel if you want us to come in with our interpretive data analysis. We'll be doing that. You never know when we're going to pop on. Tonight, tomorrow morning, early. It's a big trade. It's a big trade, guys.
And we also looks like we have a lot of people watching us on Twitter right now compared to what we normally see. So this is a big night for Twitter, I think, as far as that's where I constantly am refreshing the people that I follow to see what the latest is, because that seems to come out way before the TV news anchor can have it loaded into their teleprompter.
Twitter's hot today. By the way, can we give a little bit of gratitude to the Dumb Money Discord community, and then to us for kind of surfacing this from the community and really putting a big exclamation point. Collector's Universe, hell yes, up $11 today to $69 on crazy good earnings today. Man, yeah, that's ridiculous, dude. That is right there. That pays for like $70,000 of my $375,000 Pokemon purchase right there, just on Collector's Universe.
That's like 7 packs of cards or something.
That's like 7 packs of Pokemon cards, Collector's Universe. Dumb Money. Listen, I know that so many in the Dumb Money community were invested in Collector's Universe. Congratulations. I haven't really been in Discord a lot this week because I've been insane with this election. But I'll get in there. Congrats, guys. Really nice trade. Nice pickup. People laughed at us. They're like, come on, this thing is up so much. I'm like, yeah, it's up a lot. Kind of like Container Store was up a lot. And then it wasn't compared to how much it went up. Like Peloton, like when you have, like Generac, right? Generac was up a lot. But like if it keeps on accelerating in terms of their traction, it's not going down anytime soon, right? And so that's kind of been the story since April, May. Collector's Universe is just like, 16.0 of that story, and it just continues. So great job, Dumb Money Discord. Whew. All right. Anything
that's
else?
Going to do it for this little impromptu Dumb Money Live. We will be back as news warrants, and I guess that's it. We're gonna sign off for now, and thank you all for tuning in. Subscribe in whichever platform you prefer. We try to go to them all. We do appreciate it, and we will definitely be back tomorrow, if not sooner. And I can't wait. I'm about to go open an actual bottle of wine.
Fancy.
To go with your fancy box. The comments love your black box. I've not had that, so
what? It's fantastic. They've got it at Tom Thumb. Come on, just go to Tom Thumb. They've got it at the Highland Park Tom Thumb, so you'll be.
Do they deliver? Snyder
Black
Plaza
box?
location?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I might have.
Hold on, Dave. I just want to check one thing here. People are commenting. I might have missed something. No, I didn't. Oh, everyone's talking about SPH. I'm like, SPH, Suburban Propane Partners. All the energy stocks got murdered today. I'm assuming that's why SPH was down, guys. Also, we had a cold snap, but now it's warming up a little bit. Listen, I'm not focused on SPH this week for obvious reasons. That will be another day, another week.
It's down 3% today.
Yeah. All right. I got to get back to work, man. I'm going to be working all night.
All right. Well, I think that we probably will be back on at some point, but it's about time to get a little toasty.
Maybe. Hey, if you see something interesting, guys, get on Discord. Talk about it. We have a channel we have an election channel in Discord. I'll be popping in and out of that all night for sure. Tweet us. Feel free to tweet us. But
tweet
pop in
at
Discord,
Dave Hansen,
share.
and that's the fastest way to get in touch with me.
Yep.
Because I can't follow too many things at once.
All right, later.
For watching. We're Dumb Money. Here's where to find us. These are our Twitter handles, and at Dumb Money TV is our main one. But reach out to us directly to get our attention tonight here on Election Night 2020. We'll be back as news continues. Signing off.